Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about The Valley Season 2, Episode 2. I noticed they updated the intro and they kept everything the same except they separated the divorcees. So now Brittany and Michelle are together and Jax and Jesse are together. Jax and Jesse being together, incredibly dark duo, incredibly dark combination of people. I cannot imagine a more depressing room to be in than a room with those two. Brittany and Jasmine are at Janet and Jason's house eating breakfast casserole and breaking down last night. Janet tells them that she apologized to Kristen for dragging her into the whole mess with Zach and talking about like what Zach said on that Gabbing with Gabe podcast. And she tells Brittany and Janet that it just felt like she was talking to a crazy person. So Janet says Kristen needs to grow up and just admit to her wrongdoings. Like, I guess just everything she did last year with like insinuating Michelle would be a racist, I guess, and like just getting into it with Janet all last year. She's like crying about what Zach said about hoping she would have a late term miscarriage. And like, listen, that is awful. That is so awful. I cannot believe he said that. I guess he said it on the show. I think it was recorded or something like that because Zach admits to saying it and nobody seems to be saying that Zach didn't say it. I don't remember it at all, but it's apparently confirmed that he did say that, and it's just that like Janet is dragging Kristen into it because Kristen and Zach are very close friends. So she's like, oh, well, if Zach hopes this, then you probably hope this too. But it's so funny. Honestly, Brittany is me. Brittany is literally like in the confessional and she's like, honestly, dealing with Jax is already so much for me right now. I can't be in the middle of this. She's basically saying like, I do not have the energy to care about this right now. So sorry, girl, love you, but this is a you problem. Kristen visits Jax in his empty manor in Studio City, and she tries to sit down on a stool, but Jax points out that it's broken because it's the one that he threw that night. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, honestly, like, this is just so dark to the point where it's kind of not fun to watch. It doesn't, like, calling this entertainment is like the wrong word. This isn't entertainment. We're just watching something incredibly dark unfold between Jax and Brittany, and like, I mean, imagine you walking into your friend's house who you've known. Kristen and Jax have known each other for 20 years. Imagine you walk into your friend's house who you've known for 2 decades and they're like, oh, sorry, you can't sit in that stool. It's broken because I threw it at the wall when I was arguing with my wife. That is dark and scary and sad. And then he tries telling Kristen that there are reasons he did what he did. He immediately launches into justifying it. That's the whole thing, is that like, he's not interested in saying sorry. He's not interested in making penance at all. He's only interested in trying to get people on his side. And thankfully, Kristen isn't having it. Kristen is like, you can feel however you want. You're entitled to feel angry. You can feel sad that Brittany slept with one of your friends, but there is no excuse for being so violent and aggressive the way you were being. She doesn't, I'm still waiting for somebody to call it domestic abuse. I don't know why nobody has said it yet. Nobody has brought up like, this is domestic violence, this is scary, this is not okay. Nobody has explicitly said those words. I'm wondering if maybe it's because they don't want to be sued. Like if they go on camera and they say this is domestic violence, I'm not sure if maybe Jax would have like the ammo to sue them for, what is it called, defamation? I don't know, but it is bothering me that nobody's saying that because that's what it is. This is domestic violence. And Jax is still trying to explain why he did what he did. He just says he was upstairs and he saw the messages on Brittany's iPad and he just hulked out and started throwing stuff. That is not normal. That's not a normal way to react to a situation like that. That's not something a normal person does. So then Kristen implores him to go to therapy, and Jax says that he's tried therapy before, but he just can't be happy. And he talks about how like it's so hard with his parents not being there to help him. Meanwhile, he's 45. You're 45 years old. You think you're the only 45-year-old who doesn't have his parents around to help them get through stuff? Like, you're not special in this way. There are a lot of 45-year-olds who don't have their parents around. That doesn't mean that they're walking around getting into arguments with their family members and throwing stuff at them and being abusive. Like, you still have to be an adult. And then Kristen talks about how it's affecting Brittany a lot, and she brings up how he's been very, very mean to Brittany in the past, even without being violent, just being very mean to her, calling her fat. And then Jax immediately claims he's never done that, even though Kristen is like, no, you have. I've literally seen the text. I've seen you call Brittany fat.
I've seen it, I've read it, I've been there in person for years. I mean, literally right after she gave birth to Cruz, calling her fat. Amongst like much worse ways to say it.
I'm sure Lala's seen that.
Yeah, I have.
I've read text messages.
No, I've been there 1,000 times.
She
where
showed
he's
me text
like,
messages. So.
Get on a treadmill. Get on a treadmill. Why aren't you working out? Like, you need to work out. You're so fat.
And then Jax saying, I love women who look like her. Could you be less convincing? I love women who look like her. He couldn't even say, I love the way Brittany looks. He couldn't even say that. It had to be, I love women who look like her. You're not even specifically talking about your wife. You're just saying, I love women who look like her. What a just bad person. Just a bad, mean, nasty person. Then Jax in the confessional says, you know you've hit rock bottom when Kristen Doty shows up at your house before noon to talk about your issues. That's exactly how I felt. Kristen this season, I mean, honestly, it's only been 2 episodes, but Kristen this season has been really functioning in like a voice of reason sort of place. And I never thought I'd see the day. I never thought I'd see the day. It is like she made up with Jesse, and then she called out Janet for accusing her of saying something she didn't say. And now she's over at Jax's house talking about how he really needs help and he's hit rock bottom. I never thought I would see the day where Kristen is coming out on top. And then Kristen says something really important. She says, just because you're not talking to Cruz right now, and just because like you're avoiding him, and even though he wasn't in the room when all of that violent stuff happened with Brittany, it doesn't mean that Cruz doesn't internalize some of what is happening. And I think that is completely valid. I mean, you can see in the way that Cruz interacts with Jax. I mean, any clip of Jax trying to bend down and kiss him or pick him up, Cruz immediately like shrinks in on himself like that. That is not normal. Like, I understand that some kids are just shy, but you see in the first episode, Zach bends down to give Cruz a hug, and Cruz is all about it. Cruz loves Zach so much. It's only with Jax that he's acting like this. And Kristen tells Jax, she's like, I don't understand how you don't see this as rock bottom. So then we go to Brittany, and she's playing with Cruz in her house. His little hair is so cute. Cruz is honestly such a cute kid. And then it's like I was talking about. Zach comes over, and Cruz doesn't shy away from him. He clearly really loves him. He tries giving him a little kiss. It's really, really cute. And honestly, Cruz is so cute and little that it pains me to think that he's been in that house while Jax was being so scary. I can't imagine how terrified he must have been. Not to mention that Brittany and Jax have briefly touched on how Cruz, I think, has autism, or he was diagnosed with some sort of developmental disability. And it just makes me sad to think that Cruz, it could be so scared in that environment and not have the correct tools to express how he feels. It's just really sad. It's really, really sad. Brittany tells Zach that apparently Jax sent her an angry text that said, if you have time to send those pics to Julian, you have time to check on your husband who's going through a hard time. Are you joking? Jax is so vile. He is so disgusting and manipulative. We need to stop platforming him. Like when he was on Vanderpump Rules and we didn't know all of the stuff he got up to, he was just entertaining. Like his chaoticness, his just the way he was with women, just constantly playing women and being a player. It was obviously bad. He was never a good person, but it wasn't unlike some of the other reality stars we've seen before. This is on a different level. This is scary and not okay and very dangerous, and I do not think we should be platforming him anymore. I'm sure it brings in a lot of viewers, but at the end of the day, it's just, this is like a moral issue, I think, at this point, and Abusers like him should not have a platform. They switch to talking about Janet. Zach says that Brittany's blind to everything she does, and Brittany is starting to see it, but isn't quite there yet. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It's like Brittany said, she's been so busy dealing with all of this Jack stuff that I doubt she's really been paying much attention to anything that anyone else has going on. I'm not gonna lie, I don't care that much about Zach. I feel like Zach, Janet, and Jason are so boring to me. I don't really care that much about them. So we're getting like a very like Zach heavy scene right now. And I mean, I'm watching it, I'm paying attention, but I just don't really care. I mean, he starts crying because Janet has put this wedge between him and Brittany, and he feels completely alone. And Brittany says that since last summer, she and Zach have been distant because of the fight at the end of last season, where Michelle was saying if Zach continues to stress Janet out, it could jeopardize the pregnancy, and Zach said he didn't care. I mean, Zach can be nasty. Like, I don't know. He can be nasty. He's very messy. He is very mean. I think he has a really bad mean streak. I just think he's so boring. I don't know. I don't care. Like, he's talking about his boyfriend. He tells Brittany that he and his boyfriend broke up because the boyfriend is having visa issues and might be deported to Canada. And then apparently the boyfriend is still married but just separated. I don't care. Whatever. Zach said he wants to see a future with him and he wants to figure it out. Godspeed. I don't know, whatever. Michelle comes over to Jesse's house with Isabella's suitcase, and they immediately start arguing about Isabella's schedule. And apparently their arguing has been so bad that they had to hire a mediator. But Michelle says that since Jesse's been so difficult to work with, she probably needs to hire a lawyer. Here's the thing, it's like I was saying before, Jesse doesn't care about what's best for Isabella. He cares about what is gonna make Michelle angry. So if he heard Michelle say, oh, Jesse's been so difficult to work with, it's been making my life so hard, he would like that. That's what he wants. He wants to make Michelle miserable. He wants Michelle to constantly be stressed about him. That's what he wants. Jesse says he's been the best father to Isabella, and the difficulties that they've been having reflect who Michelle is as a person. And he says that Michelle thinks he's like just this absentee father who goes out partying, while she's the one who figures out what to do with Isabella. But Jesse's view of himself is that he's a struggling single father who's trying to figure out how to balance work, parenting, and traveling. First of all, they keep talking about Jesse traveling. What is he traveling to do? He's a realtor in Los Angeles. I don't think he sells property anywhere else. I think he only sells property in LA. So it's like, maybe if your wife is telling you that in this first year of your divorce, maybe you need to travel less until you can figure out a routine with your daughter. Like, I don't think that's so outlandish for her to say that. I mean, if it's for work, sure, it's for work, but like, where are you going that you're traveling so much that you can't even sit down to figure out your daughter's schedule? Like, isn't that more important than wherever you're going? Then Jesse starts crying when Michelle says it's her turn to have Isabella for the holidays this year. He's like, I don't want to be alone for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I do think this was revealing. I think this was very revealing of some of Jesse's internal struggles. I mean, I think at his core, he is afraid of being alone. I just think that's really it. I don't know anything about his family, so I don't know if he has any like parents that he's close to or extended family or things like that, but he is devastated at the thought of not having Isabella for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I mean, obviously I get it, a father wants to spend time with his daughter, but it was definitely a rare moment of vulnerability for Jesse where the mask came down, which is not something we've been seeing with him and Michelle often. Michelle says she's angry that Jesse treats her like shit and says that he doesn't care that she's Isabella's mother. And Jesse says that Michelle swore on Isabella's life that she didn't cheat on him even though she actually did. This is the core of what he's mad about. He's not actually mad about any of Michelle's suggestions or demands when it comes to Isabella. He's still mad about the cheating. That's really what it is. He definitely feels like emasculated by it, I'm sure, and he feels betrayed and hurt. And I think that is really why he's trying to piss Michelle off. It has nothing to do with Isabella. And then Michelle denies cheating, and she says that apparently Jesse's girlfriend has been openly talking about how she's sleeping with other men. And when Jesse asks who gave her this information, Michelle says Sheena. So Jesse calls her.
She's told people, including a friend of mine, that she's sleeping with other people.
And who's this friend? I'll call him right now.
Sheena.
Perfect. Let's call Sheena.
Let's call Sheena.
My friend in Orange County. She's been sleeping with other guys. Is that true or false?
That is correct, verbatim.
She straight up told me this.
It's such a brief conversation with Sheena. It's literally so short, and we don't see her. We only hear her voice. Jesse's like, Michelle told me that my girlfriend told you she's sleeping with other men. Is that true? And Sheena goes, yup. And then she goes, yeah, the girl is sleeping with the guy from Baywatch. And then Jesse just goes, okay, cool, thank you, bye, and hangs up. Jesse's defeated. I mean, what Sheena literally just confirmed it, and Sheena was so matter-of-fact about it. She was just like, yeah, she told me. Michelle says that she hopes Jesse and his girlfriend are happy, whatever that looks like. And Jesse just goes, okay. And he's just completely defeated. He's lost this battle between the two of them. Danny and Jason are at Jax's house to check on him. They're also concerned about Jax hitting rock bottom and the fact that Jax isn't allowed to see Cruz by himself. Jax is checking himself into a mental health facility for a few days. He says he comes from a long line of volatile, explosive men, and he doesn't want his son to grow up to be like that. And then he says that he's embarrassed that he's doing this and thinks his dad must be rolling over in his grave. And Danny and Jason even say this. They're like, dude, no, like this is exactly what your dad should want you to be doing. Like, you're breaking these generation curses. It's not good that you're freaking out so much on Brittany that you're throwing furniture and causing her to like have bruises and scaring your son. It's just so crazy that even now that Jax has reached this point, he still doesn't understand that he really needs help. I mean, he says it himself. He's only doing this so he can see Cruz. He's only doing this because Brittany says if he doesn't do it, then he doesn't get to see Cruz. He doesn't actually think he needs this. And then the mental health facility calls Jax. I put that in quotes because this was not a real phone call. There's no shot in hell this was a real phone call. This was so obviously either a voice actor or a producer or whatever it was. It just felt so scripted, and it felt so almost unprofessional. I don't know how to explain it. It's like Jax was talking to like a teenager and it was their first day working at this facility. Weird conversation. And I totally forgot Jax's name was Jason. When Jax first answered the phone and the guy was like, hey Jason, I thought Jax accidentally answered Janet's husband's phone. And then Jax kicks Danny and Jason out kind of rudely. Jax basically just goes, oh, I need to take this. And Danny and Jason just go, okay. And then Jax just starts talking on the phone and sits down on the stool. So Danny and Jason just kind of have to walk themselves out. I mean, do I expect anything more from Jax? Do I think Jax is going to be a very welcoming host and he's going to have these like perfect manners? No, but it was very funny to watch him kick them out so rudely. Apparently 30 days at this place is $30,000. And Jax tried to ask if he can leave early and they're like, we can't refund you the money if you do that. It just, the whole thing feels like a voice actor calling him. But of course, Jax, the first question he asks is, can I leave early? I mean, part of it is, of course, because we know that Brittany, between the two of them, is the breadwinner. So Jax probably can't really afford this on his own. I'd be interested to hear about who is paying for it, because I know Bravo, when Kim Richards was going through her alcoholism issues several years ago, I think Bravo paid for her initial stint in rehab. I doubt they would be paying for Jax's rehab just because his like crimes, really, he's being violent towards Brittany. I'm not sure if they would pay for his rehab in that case. I'm interested to see if Brittany is helping him pay for it. I wonder, because Jax has made it clear that Brittany is the breadwinner, and Brittany has made it clear that Jax really does not make a lot of money. He's basically unemployed, so Interesting. I wonder who's paying for that. Brittany, Janet, and Michelle meet for drinks, and Brittany says she went to Jax's house when he wasn't there to grab some packages, and she goes upstairs and sees a thong on the bathroom sink. Well, I'm gonna start that over. Brittany, Janet, and Michelle meet for drinks, and Brittany says she went to Jax's house when he wasn't there to grab some packages, and she goes upstairs and sees a thong on the bathroom sink.
He's not there. I go in and I go upstairs to see if I want to grab any extra clothes or stuff out of the bathroom. There is a thong on my bathroom sink. Why was there a baby wipe on top of it?
Ew, that is so disgusting. Ew, why is there a thong on the bathroom sink with a baby wipe on top of it? Why are you so stinky that you feel the need to wipe yourself down before you hook up with I don't want to think about Jax having sex too much, so I'm just gonna steamroll over this, but just ew. Then Michelle tells them that Jesse's girlfriend sent her a horrible text message. Lots of horrible text messages this season. Just lots of people sending each other these paragraph long texts. And apparently the girlfriend is constantly threatening to sue her. And Janet says at Jax's bar, the girlfriend said she was gonna send all of them cease and desist so they would stop talking about her. And apparently she thinks that all of the women are out to get her, which is crazy because they never even mention her name on the show. I'm pretty sure you could Google Jesse the Valley girlfriend, and I think there's an article about him dating her, but nobody knows who she is. She's not famous. Nobody knows who her name is. They don't show her on the show at all. No pictures. You don't even hear her voice. So I don't know if this is a bid from her to get on the show or if this is just her trying to intimidate all of the women because she feels inadequate or whatever, but just really egotistical. Why do you think all of these women are obsessed with you? I don't even think any of them know your name. And then Janet says, if you're so worried about being talked about, why are you dating somebody on reality TV? Yeah, you're gonna get talked about. It's the same thing with Kyle Richards and Morgan. Kyle saying, no, Morgan doesn't want to be on TV. She hates this. She hates attention. Okay, yeah, but she's dating one of the biggest reality TV stars in America, and she is also a musician. She's a public figure. Brittany and Cruz are at Jax's house, and Jax comes in, and Cruz immediately starts crying. The second Jax comes in, Cruz starts crying. It's really sad. And then Brittany tells him not to kiss Cruz on the face because he doesn't like it, and Jax tries anyway. So Brittany just tells the nanny to take Cruz to the park. And then when Jax tries to kiss Cruz goodbye, Cruz is kind of pulling away. Just sad. Just really sad. Very stark contrast to the way Cruz was when Jesse came over. Jax is packing for the treatment center and he doesn't want to talk to Brittany. He says, go back to your boyfriend Julian, who you were hooking up with for 5 months. We're in high school. What a high school thing to say. This is rock bottom. I mean, this is so pathetic, just pathetic. And Brittany says there was literally a girl at Jax's house this morning, which Jax doesn't even pretend to lie about. And then now Jax is just throwing anything he can at her. He's just trying to make her life as miserable as possible and trying to make her feel as small as possible. And then he tries to tell her that she's never paid a single bill in the house. And she goes, what are you talking about? I pay all of the bills in this house. I still pay all of the bills in this house. And Jax doesn't even try to argue with that. I mean, Jax is literally unemployed. Brittany makes a shit ton of money as an influencer. Meanwhile, Jax's bar is flopping. It has horrible reviews. I pass by it all of the time. It's always empty and it looks horrible. And then he tries to tell her again that she's never even checked on him. And Brittany starts crying and she's like, you scared me. Why would I check on you when you scared me? You hurt me. I mean, literally, he physically hurt her. And he's still demanding her emotional labor. What a psycho. And then she says he needs help. And Jax yells back, you need help. It's just, at this point, this is an unreasonable person. This is the stage where you just stop talking to this person because Jax cannot be reasoned with. He has no reason. He is so caught up in his own world. There's nothing you can say to him to get him to admit that he is in the wrong. And then Brittany says she's in therapy for all of the stuff that he's done to her. And Jax says if she was that miserable, she could have left years ago. Such a classic abuser tactic. This whole scene is just a masterclass in the tactics abusers use. Jax just always trying to flip it on Brittany, always trying to say, well, actually, this is your fault. You provoked me. You could have left. If you hate me so so much. Why did you stay? Oh, I'm the one who does all of this stuff for you. It's very just classic, like, no, it's your fault. All of this is your fault. I am who I am. I can't help who I am. And then they just keep arguing back and forth. He's like, I hate that you're making me go to an inpatient center just so you don't take Cruz away from me. Brittany says, well, I didn't make you punch holes in the wall or throw chairs. And then as soon as she says that, as soon as she recounts what he did, Jax immediately says, like, you're out of line for saying that. I don't want to film anymore. And he walks out of the room. I think that he doesn't want to talk about it on camera so that it can't be used as evidence in a potential court case later. Because if Brittany says, I didn't make you punch holes in the wall, throw chairs, give me a bruise on my knee, and then Jax, if he says something to confirm that he did those things, I can see how that easily could be used in court. So I think that's why he says he wants to stop filming. Brittany says if Jax doesn't stay the full 30 days, she's immediately filing for full custody of Cruz and putting a restraining order on him. Good. I hope she does that anyway. Even if he does do the 30 days, I hope she does that anyway. And then Jax at this point isn't even talking to her. He tries to talk to production. He's yelling at the producers saying Brittany does the same shit he does. He only cares about the way he's being perceived. He's trying to appeal to the producers right now because he wants a good edit. He doesn't want them to go into the editing room and make this argument look like, oh, Brittany's the saint and Jax is evil. That's why he's talking to producers right now. And then Brittany says that they could give her a drug test right now and she would pass. Would he? That was a mic drop. That was really good. I'm so proud of her for saying that. I thought that was just really strong. And then this is honestly really sad. Brittany says that in the future, Jax is gonna realize that she's the only person who loved him enough to get him help. And she texts Jason, who's on his way over to pick up Jax to take him to the facility, because she's like, Jax is losing his mind. He needs to go to this treatment center. And this is clearly all the same filming day, because then Jason comes back and he's wearing the same clothes. So I think this all, like Danny and Jason coming over, then them leaving, Jax talking to the treatment center, and then Jason coming back to take Jax to the center. This all happened in the same day. And then Jason is driving Jax to the facility. We're in the car with them, and Jax basically says the only reason he's doing this is so he can still be Cruz. Literally until the very end, until the moment Jason drops him off at that center, he's not taking accountability and he refuses to admit that he did anything wrong. And we end on a to be continued. Yeah, just rough all around. Just a really tough watch. It's not a fun watch for sure. It's really dark. I don't want to see Jax on my television screen anymore. I don't want the production to continue to enable him, to give him a platform. He's a very scary person. He's not well, he's not good, and he does not deserve to be on this show. Just what a really, really bad guy. And I really hope Brittany and Cruz are able to get away from him. I really, really hope so. I hope Brittany gets full custody of Cruz and she's able to just enjoy life in her new house with her friends and just not have to deal with worrying about Jax. I never ever want her to be alone in a room with Jax again. I don't think she should ever have to. I don't think she ever really does do that. It seems like usually production is there or one of the friends, which is good. But yeah, we'll see how this stay in the facility goes. Just really, really, really dark. I don't know what the rest of this season is gonna look like. Stay tuned in the coming days. I am going to have my recap of the newest Summer House episode up, and wow, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is done. I don't have a new recap of that coming up. If you missed it, I did recap part 3 of the reunion, so that's been up on the channel for a week or so. You can go ahead and check that out. And I guess in the meantime, on the Housewives front, we're just waiting for The Real Housewives to come back, I think in like June, so no Housewives for a while. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.